take our seats. Our guest of honor, the Chief Executive Officer of the Mutapa Investment Fund, Dr. John Mangujga. Our host, the Vice Chancellor of the Harare Institute of Technology, Professor Quinton Kanukamwe. The CEO of the Zimpapers Group, Mr. William Chikoto. CEOs of entities under the Mutapa portfolio. Government officials here present, captains of our mining, energy, and agricultural sectors, other CEOs here present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, and a warm special welcome to our global audiences who are joining us. We are streaming live on all the Zimpapers platforms. My name is Linda Muriro, and I will be your Director of Ceremonies for the day. It is my honor to welcome you to this landmark public lecture. We are gathered here today not just for a mere conversation, but for demystification, illumination, and national elaboration. Zimbabwe is at a crucial time in its economic journey. And the Mutapa Investment Fund is one of the most influential instruments that is shaping our national assets, our investment narrative, and our economic future. And with great responsibility comes great curiosity and questions. And this is why we are gathered here, to respond to some of those questions. There is going to be a fireside talk, but take heart, there is no physical fire, but we hope that any burning questions that you have will be answered today. Allow me to invite our hosts to give us some welcome remarks. Please put your hands together for Professor Kanukamwe as he comes forward.
Let me start by acknowledging the Chief Executive Officer of Mutapa Holdings, Dr. Mangujga, Zimpapers Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Chikoto, Chief Executive Officers and Captains of Industry here present, Pro-Vice Chancellors of Harare Institute of Technology, Professor Gwamuri and Mr. Gwarimbo, HIT Senior Management, distinguished guests, representatives from government and industry, members of boards and management from various institutions here present, and members of the Fourth Estate. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you to the Harare Institute of Technology for this public lecture, being hosted in partnership with Zimpapers, to be delivered by the Chief Executive Officer of the Zimbabwe Sovereign Wealth Fund, Dr. Mangujga. The theme of this lecture is navigating Zimbabwe's economic future, the role of the Mutapa Investment Fund. We are deeply grateful that you have accepted the invitation to engage with us on matters that sit at the very heart of Zimbabwe's economic future. At Harare Institute of Technology, we believe that a university must be more than a center of instruction. It must be a marketplace of ideas, a catalyst for innovation, and a trusted partner in national development. Public lectures such as this one are therefore not ceremonial events, but deliberate platforms for intellectual exchange where policy, finance, research, and innovation intersect. Central to this mission is academic freedom. It is only in an environment where ideas can be freely tested, debated, and refined that meaningful innovation can emerge. Academic freedom empowers our scholars and students to ask difficult questions, challenge orthodoxies, and propose bold solutions without fear or favor. This freedom is not an abstract principle. It is a practical necessity for progress in science, technology, finance, and governance. Research, therefore, plays a critical role in this process. Evidence-based decision-making, informed investment strategies, and sustainable wealth management all depend on rigorous research. When universities and national investment institutions collaborate, research moves beyond journals into impact, shaping policy, guiding capital allocation, and strengthening national resilience. The presence of the Zimbabwe Sovereign Wealth Fund at this university is symbolic and strategic. It signals the importance of aligning national capital with national intellect, of ensuring that our brightest ideas are supported by patient, visionary investment, and of anchoring economic transformation in innovation-led growth. This public lecture emphasizes industry-university partnerships which are not optional but strategic. They align education with development needs, research with industrial growth, and innovation with employment creation. When effectively structured and supported, they become powerful engines for inclusive growth, technological sovereignty, and sustainable national development. Today marks a defining milestone for Zimbabwe's premier innovation university. As a university, we have embarked on a robust process to produce tools at the cutting edge of the modernization and industrialization agenda. The architecture, DNA, and culture are deliberately structured in this university to deliver exactly that. We integrate technological entrepreneurship, known as technopreneurship, and innovation elements into all our programs. 7 years ago, in fact 8 years ago, I directed that artificial intelligence and big data analytics be mandatory courses taken across all our disciplines. Here at HIT, there is no graduate who goes out without those courses. And today, we are proud of the impact that our graduates are making because we, as our theme says, in our strategic plan, we are designing the future. We teach our cadres to be ready and develop solutions today for tomorrow's challenges. We offer a comprehensive array of innovation-oriented, competence-based, proficiency-driven curricula through unique academic programs, and we have centers of excellence and an innovation hub that is transforming research outputs innovation and intellectual property into commercial goods and services. We have 5 faculties, which we call schools here: the Engineering and Technology School, Allied Health Sciences, Industrial Sciences and Technology, Business and Management Sciences, as well as Information Science and Technology. And we pride ourselves as having some of the biggest critical mass of machine designers, of cybersecurity experts who have been produced from this institution and are making impact not only in this country, regional and global. HEAT is therefore a part of a national and international ecosystem, and these fundamental social, economic, legal, philosophical, and geopolitical guidelines shape our work as a technological university. Guided by these philosophical precepts of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chancellor of Harare Institute of Technology, Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa of Nyika Inowakwa Newe Newayo, the Vision 2030, the Education 5.0 Doctrine, the National Development Strategy 2, and a host of other national policies and aspirations, and by the HIT Act and our recently adopted strategic plan, Designing the Future, we work with dogged resolve to contribute to the transformation of this economy by delivering innovative technological outcomes. To our students who may be here today, today's lecture is a reminder that your ideas matter. To our academics, it reaffirms the value of research that addresses national priorities. And to our partners in industry and finance, it underscores the role of universities as engines of sustainable development. Once again, we warmly welcome our guest speaker and our industry partners. We look forward to a stimulating lecture and a robust exchange of ideas. Welcome to Harare Institute of Technology. I thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much, Professor Kanukamwe. Another round of applause as he takes his seat. We honor and appreciate the work that the institution HEAT is doing in producing technopreneurs and driving Zimbabwe to the promised land, an upper middle income economy by 2030. And today's public lecture is happening at a time where we've ushered in the National Development Strategy 2. And we are going to be hearing more on the role of the Mutapa Investment Fund in taking us to the promised land. And Zimpapers, as the largest diversified media company in Zimbabwe and a news organization, is facilitating this in line with its mandate to inform, driven by the need to uphold and safeguard our national interests, which are premised on 3 principles: promoting peace and security, economic prosperity, and driving the social interests of Zimbabweans. For your ease and comfort, ladies and gentlemen, our restrooms are towards the end of this auditorium, to the right side, my right side, and they are clearly labeled, ladies and gentlemen. Now, today, ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged, deeply privileged, to be joined by a leader whose intellect, policy, and depth, as well as financial stewardship, have become synonymous with strategic national thinking. A man who continues to shape Zimbabwe's economic architecture with clarity, courage, and a steady hand. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our next speaker. Dr. John Panonetsa Mangudya was appointed to the post of Chief Executive Officer of Mutapa Investment Fund, which is the sovereign wealth fund of Zimbabwe, on the 1st of May, after successfully completing his tenure as the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe governor from 2014 to 2024. He has over 38 years of banking experience, having worked for the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe as a principal economist and the African Export-Import Bank, African Zimbank, from 1996 to 1999 as an international banker. He was also part of CBZ Bank, where, among other positions, he held the position of Chief Executive Officer. Dr. Mangudya has diverse experience in commercial, international, investment, and central banking. He is a board member of the African Export-Import Bank, Zimbank, and he has also served as chairman of the Industrial Development Corporation of Zimbabwe and the Agricultural Marketing Authority of Zimbabwe. Please arise, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome our guest of honor to the podium. Dr. John Mangudya. Thank you very much. And as Dr. Mangudya is settling down, vehicle registration number AGG 3698, please respond to your vehicle. You may need to attend to your vehicle. The driver of the car, AGG 3698. Thank you. We may take our seats.
Thank you very much, Linda Mlilo, our MC for this occasion, this public lecture. Let me take this opportunity to express my appreciation to Zimpapers Group for this invitation to give a public lecture at this very esteemed institution HIT, where we know what they are doing, and we support what you are doing, Professor Kankamwe. You are doing a fantastic job, and thank you for the introductions to this place. You are doing a fantastic job. I also want to take this opportunity to respect the CEOs of the Mutapa group of entities. I see quite a number of them here, and the senior executives. I also want to express my appreciation to my brother, Major General Dube. Thank you, my brother, for being here, and my colleagues from the fund. You spoke very well, Wakanugama. Three things that you've said that touched my heart is about academic freedom. I love that academic freedom. When you are in a public lecture, there is academic freedom. It's more like a parliamentary freedom, privileges, because we are at a university, we are supposed to exchange ideas. So this is the best place. Then secondly, you are designing the future at HIT. We are also investing now for the future generation. So there's some congruence, some common set, which I see in what we're saying. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation to share, unpack Mutapa. I've got a few slides. In fact, there are many slides that I thought I'm not very sure whether this is a HIT. I've known HIT for having very good systems. When I was at the Central Bank, we also invited them to provide a Beirut change system. So I'm not very sure the systems are working well. Yeah, if they are there, so the systems here work always very, very well. So I have got a presentation that I'm going to do, split into 10 sections or structure. First of all, I will advise you, who is Mutapa, who are we? What's our vision, what's the mission, and also what are our values? So who are we? Then I shall also talk about the objective of Mutapa Investment Fund, being the sovereign fund of Zimbabwe, and also our mandate. Then go down through the governance framework, what governs us, the performance highlights. We shall talk about the structure of the fund, and then the SWOT analysis of the fund, the way we see it, in the strategic framework, which makes us go forward. That's our fuel for the fund. And of course, the contributions that were expected either under NDS 1, NDS 2 now, and the Vision 2030, the expectations. And of course, then we conclude and then take any questions that you might have about what I would have said and those things that you wanted to say which I not have said. So I'm at your disposal in the spirit of academic freedom, in the spirit of wanting to share as much as possible. But this is our country. It's on us who can help our own country. So, to start, the next slide, please. So, what is Mutapa? Who are we? Even Jesus Christ asked, what do people say who I am? So people was asking Zimbabwe, who is the Mutapa Investment Fund? Mutapa Investment Fund is the sovereign wealth fund of Zimbabwe, which was established through an act of parliament in 2014 under the Sovereign Wealth Fund Act of Zimbabwe, Chapter 2220. It was remodeled and renamed Mutapa Investment Fund. So we used the same act, but it was remodeled. Why was it remodeled in 2023? It was remodeled because the way it was supposed to operate in 2014, the seed capital for the fund was supposed to come from fiscal surpluses, balance of payment surpluses, and the royalties and dividends. But your guess and knowledge is good as mine. We never had the fiscal surpluses, neither did we have the balance of payment surpluses. So government found it necessary and saw it necessary and fit that we need to have a new strategy. Therefore, it was remodeled that instead of the funds from the fiscal surpluses that do not exist, let's now have companies which are under government reposed or vested onto the fund, which means it's become an investment fund as opposed to be a resource-based fund. If you go to Botswana, they talk about a Pula fund, which is based coming from diamonds. If you go to Norway, it comes from gas and oil. Now, Zimbabwe, we took a benchmark of other countries like Singapore, Ethiopia. In Singapore, they talk about Temasek, which is a grouped entities brought together, sweat their capital, sweat their balance sheets, and make money for Zimbabwe. So, when you look at the second part there, we're now saying the global footprint of sovereign wealth funds is quite huge in the whole world. Currently, sovereign wealth funds or funds under management by the sovereign wealth fund is about 15.3 trillion. Zimbabwe only starting. So there is nothing new under the sun. Is it true? It was said in Ecclesiastes, I think 9 or chapter 1, verse 9. There is nothing new under the sun. So what we are doing in Zimbabwe, I was here, people say that we've got questions about the Mutapa, about sovereign wealth fund. Colleagues, there is nothing new under the sun. It was done before, and others are doing it. We are a new baby on the screen or on this platform called sovereign wealth fund. So nothing is new under the sun. So what we are doing has been done before, it's being done by others. So let's not be left behind. So the next slide. The next slide just shows you the global distribution of funds under management. The major ones, there are plenty. The largest world sovereign funds are in Norway. Norway has got more than $2 trillion of funds under management under the Norway government pension fund. So you see that that's what Europe said. That Europe there, the bigger sovereign wealth fund there is Norway. If you go to Asia, The largest there will be China. China Investment Corporation, at around 1.6, 1.5 trillion. These figures keep on changing because each day they make money. If you look at the MENA region, that's Middle East and North Africa, they're called the MENA. You are looking at Dubai, UAE, Mbadala, Dubai Investment Corporation, they are there. So those are the largest ones. I didn't say countries, more than, there are more than 165 sovereign funds that are existing currently. But these are the distribution. So what we are doing here today and what we are doing in Zimbabwe has been done many, many years ago by people who knew what they were doing. And we also did it in 2014, but it did not come up because operationally, because of lack of funds to put into the fund. That's the global distribution. So my point here is that when you talk about Mutapa, it has been done before. The next slide. So what is our vision as the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Zimbabwe, which is called the Mutapa Investment Fund? Our vision is very simple: to secure a successful future for Zimbabwe. It's very bullish. We didn't say for Mutapa investment. We want to secure the citizens of Zimbabwe's future. We look at ourselves as we aspire to be the little Josephs of this country. The Joseph from Bible Yahweh, who was able to mobilize food security. So we want to secure somebody's future. That's our vision. And our mission to achieve that, we need to preserve and grow wealth on a sustainable basis from the entities under Mutapa whom we are managing and looking after. And our values are very simple. We want to be accountable. We want to do transparency, excellence in whatever we do. We are committed to do what is right, even if it's very difficult to do so. We want integrity and sustainability. And that's one of the reasons why we are here. Transparency and be open to the community, to citizens, through the university. And the Mutapa Investment Fund is a product of research by SERA, State Enterprise Regulatory Authority, agency, which sits in the President's office, wherein they reach at a crossroads and say, how do you transform the entities in Zimbabwe which are under government? So there were many schools of thought, either to have a central entity running those entities, SOEs, or to put them under Minister of Finance, or put them under government, under the President's office. The decision was therefore arrived that no, let's have a centralized authority or entity that looks after these entities for purposes of bringing efficiency, elimination of bureaucracy, red tape, and to ensure that there is efficiency and conformity, uniformity in running these entities. So that's what we do, and that's what we did, what was happening. And therefore, the fund is a transformative, it's a transformation agenda of government of Zimbabwe, and it is also part of the national development agenda of government of Zimbabwe. So what are our objectives? Objectives as specified in the act that I've just said, Sovereign Wealth Fund Act, Section 4 of the act spells out our objectives, very clear, to make secure investments for the benefit of enjoyment of current and future generations. So everyone is not being left behind, leaving no one and no place behind. The current and those people who haven't been born, they've got a stake in this company or this entity. support the development objectives of the Zimbabwe, including its long-term economic and social development, to support fiscal or macroeconomic stabilization, in particular to supplement the revenues of the Zimbabwean government, to contribute to the reserves of Zimbabwe from the net returns on its investments. So when you invest in an entity, if tier one, net one makes money, the profits, the dividends so declared come to the fund uses those money to create more money for the future. So it means the CEOs and entities under Mutapa, they've got a big role to play in this equation. We won't be successful without making sure that those entities under Mutapa are successful. Therefore, our strategy that we shall talk about is linked and strategize is meant to link to that. Then to contribute to the revenues, as I've said. And then therefore the fund is looking at three things. It's intergenerational equity, it's macroeconomic stabilization, it's to generate economic benefits for the citizens of Zimbabwe. So it's a very simple objective, but very difficult to achieve because it needs all of us to work together as a team. What is our mandate? Therefore, our mandate, which have been derived from the objectives as specified in the Act of Parliament of Zimbabwe. Our mandate is to manage the government entities under the fund and to provide financial and strategic oversight on the same. So on one hand is to manage them. On the other side is to provide financial and strategic oversight on all those entities. Therefore, the mandate entails, one, to provide strategic oversight and active ownership of the state-owned enterprises under the fund, making sustainable and profitable investments that contribute to the wealth and creation of Zimbabwe, and also to minimize fiscal risk. We want to minimize fiscal risk, in other ways, that these enterprises should not go to get money from the budget, PSIB. We need to create value ourselves. So our job is value creation. To drive economic growth, job creation, infrastructure development in line with the national development strategies and vision objectives, including Vision 2030 of becoming an upper middle income country. That's our aspiration, all of us as a country. Ensuring sound governance, transparency, accountability, and ethical standards and business practices. In leveraging on partnerships, joint ventures, and any other form of partnerships that we might so decide. The framework, what I'm basically doing is to take you the context of the Mutapa, starting with who we are, what is our objectives, what is our mandate. The whole idea is give you the context. Context matters. So what our governance is framework? The fund adheres to good, sound corporate governance as a creature of the law, which derives its power and powers from the Act. The fund has adopted a framework of rules, practices, and ethical standards, including accountability and transparency and fairness, to direct and manage the fund. So at the top, we've got the board of the fund, with a very competent management at the board, at the fund, which is and the board oversight, So we've got a very strong board, strong management. In fact, I'm very proud of being the CEO of a very competent professionals, experts. They give us value for our money in this country. So I'm very happy as the CEO of Mutapa to lead a competent management staff at the fund. And we've got a very strong board of directors who are doing oversight of those people who are very professional. See, when you've got a good team of experts, if you don't have a strong board, there's always going to be a clash. And I see too many clashes in this country between the board and the management, because the board might be political and management might be professional, or vice versa, or management become political and board. So I see that. But at the fund, we don't have that. At the fund, God has imposed us with the good experts, both the management and a strong board. So we thank God for that. And we thank the President for his appointment of those board members, whom I can say today to you at this public lecture, they are strong individuals, very competent, and the staff, they are good. Thank you. And the fund subscribes to transparency. I've read many articles talk about the transparency of the fund, that it's a fund for looting. You know, people here, they say what they want. It's a good country. Yeah, I like that. I like that. But if you look at I say the act, if you look at section 25 of the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Zimbabwe, it provides that the accounts of the fund shall be audited on a term-yearly basis by persons registered as the public auditors in terms of public accounts in the Auditors Act, Chapter 22, 2712. And our current auditors are Grant Thornton. And we work very closely with the Auditor General. Because after they've been audited, we also provide the same information to our Auditor General. But this is the position. And Section 49 of the Public Finance Management Act provides that public entities, including ourselves, must maintain comprehensive records of financial transactions and prepare quarterly financial statements. The accounts must be audited and submitted to Treasury. And the minister referred in the Act is Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance acts two roles, as the Minister of Finance and also being the Treasurer. And are subject to parliamentary scrutiny through authority vested in Parliament in terms of the Section 119 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So people will say, I know this fund is a law unto itself. No ways. Can't be law unto yourself when you're in Zimbabwe. You've got the Constitution of Zimbabwe, you've got the acts that are there. So today I'm just here to demystify that myth that this fund is a law unto itself. No, we are not. And Parliament's role in holding IMF and these entities to account is therefore firmly entrenched in the relevant laws, including the Parliament, including the Constitution. And the tabling by the Minister of Finance of the funds reports in the Parliament ensures that the Parliament has got oversight on all the entities, including Mutapa Investment Fund. We have already given the Minister of Finance our annual report for 2024, as we work on the 2025 audit, for him to do what is right, to do the needful. And therefore, MIF subscribes to this, and also we subscribe to Santiago Principles. Santiago Principles, there are 24 principles, which were developed by the International Forum of Sovereign Wealth Funds in 2008 in Santiago, to promote transparency, good governance, accountability, and prudent investment practices of managing sovereign wealth funds. We are also a member of the African Sovereign Investment Fund, ASIF, of which I serve on that forum as on the executive committee of that forum in Africa. which is also an affiliate to the international one. The fund is accordingly, because of its transparency, we've also therefore publicized our annual report with financials for 2024, which was done expeditiously, which was done for a record time, because we started our work in May 2024, but by the end of the year, last year, all those accounts had all been audited, and joining the Sovereign Wealth Fund as it started 2014 up to 2024, though the numbers are there, and the record is for everyone to see. And if you have any question on that, we'll be very happy to entertain any, if there are any questions. And in those, the next slide, please. The performance is highlighted in the annual report of 2024. We showed that the fund has got assets under management, gross value of 16 billion, with a fair value of 14.7 billion, and that within the fund, the fund by itself had income of 11.9 during the first year of operation, and made a profit of made 80 million. And of course, if you look at the fund, we also gave you the statistics which we thought were relevant, like gold production in tons, because we've got the fund, its assets, they are one of the largest producers of gold in this country. So and also for Fidelity, all the gold comes through Fidelity Gold Refinery, which is under the fund. And the gold that we got, which is a very important statistics, was 36 tons, 0.4 in 2024. In 2025, the same gold production, which came through Fidelity, had gone to 46.7 tons. So the country is doing very well in gold, when the prices of gold is also going up. And in terms of a billion of liters that came through the pipeline, which is under NOIC, was 2.3 billion liters. And last year, it was 2.7 billion liters. So we are expanding the pipeline so that we can get more money revenue from that. And then the electricity that was produced and sold to people, and of course, the number of people, we've got 24,000 people within the companies under Mutapa. So we are a very important employer as a group of companies under Mutapa, 24,000, and we want to increase that number as we increase production and as we increase our work streams within our institutions. Now, coming to Mutapa, this was the context of Mutapa. What is our architecture, our structure at Mutapa? Mutapa is divided into 6 clusters. As management, for purpose of easier to manage, we've divided the fund into 6 clusters. And what is on this slide is everything that what we do. So you see money, you see the land, you see electricity, you see infrastructure, you see mining, and you see the real estate. Next slide. So the structure, those just to give you a rundown of on the energy and trading cluster. That is where we've got Orex, Fidelity Gold Refinery, Petrotrade, Zesta, the power company. That's where they are. So that's energy and trading. The energy being Zesta and I think it should also be here. And the trading being the gold that comes through this one. And then the second one there, your financial services, which is basically our banks and financial institutions, including Homelink and the Export Credit Guarantee of Company, ECGC, they're under the financial. These ones, we have 100% shareholding in these entities. And the next cluster, which is the third one, is agriculture and industrials. That's where we've got Allied Timbers, Ada Seeds, Code Social Commission was a company, IDC, Silo Foods. Again, 100% owned by the government through Mutapa. Then we've got ICT and logistics. This is the fourth cluster. We have what, this is your infrastructure cluster. We've got your Air Zimbabwe, the National Oil Company of Zimbabwe, because of the infrastructure that they provide for fuel. That's why we've got NRZ, PowerTel, Telcel, Net1, Tier 1, and the buses, Zupco. That's where they are. What the minerals cluster, we have what default and the Kuvimba mines. And in Kuvimba, our shareholding there, as you can see, is 63%. The other 37% is owned by the interest groups, which include the farmers, including DPC, Public Service Commission, IPEC. They are the 37% holders. So we vote, but we manage on their behalf. And we also have interest in what we call investment associates, where we don't have 100% control or more than 51%. We are also in Zimri Holdings, 33.8%. Kotko Holdings, which is Kotko Cotton, 37.1%. People always think that Kotko is 100% owned by government. Government owns 37.1% of Kotko. But we run as if it was 100% owned by government because of the socio-economic aspect of cotton. Mineral resources, we are in Wange, 36.8%, in Tuliko. Then we also have financial assets. We are also in CBZ, 17.7% of CBZ is owned by the fund. And energy and trading in Victors, we are in the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, 40.8%. Those are the assets that the fund is looking after. It's a well-diversified portfolio. We need to sweat it. We need to work on it, create value from it for the benefit of future generations and ourselves who are still alive. So we did a SWOT analysis of ourselves and what we are in the platform. So when you look at ourselves, after we have looked at these companies and our infrastructure, where we're coming from, we said, what for us to come up with the strategy, we need to say what is our weaknesses and our strength. We found that we have more strength than the weaknesses. We have a diversified portfolio, with a very strong government support, strong balance sheet. When you combine all these companies, potential for high returns is there, long-term investment horizon, highly skilled manpower at the fund and the board, and there's no bureaucracy, a red tape at the fund. Zero. We don't create one. So I'm sure if you give us today your things, tomorrow they'll be acted upon. Because we cannot afford that when you're running a business today, we take you 6 months to give you a response as a shandy, zero. So we have no bureaucracy at the fund. And I also pray to God that I don't want also the same bureaucracy to be crept into us. I want to remain the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Opportunities are in abundance. With abundant natural resources, I think we've got 30 to 40%. Let me just say, being on the conservative side, I think over 30% of the resources under the natural resources in this country, they are quite significant. And access to credit lines, we can create them. Farming, mining, mineral prices are going up. Economic recovery prospects are good because of stability which Zimbabwe is enjoying, regional integration, commerce, SADC, everything. So weaknesses, we only identified 2. Maybe we're lazy, But that's what we identified. After, I say the team is competent, the experts. But we identified too. Limited capital, growth capital in the country, so we need to look for it. So that weakness becomes an opportunity for us. Lack of value addition, we normally produce and excel goods in the raw form. And threats, climate change, as you can see, it's a real threat. Global economic conditions, geopolitics, and everything, that's where they come. Then competition for investments by other countries is a threat to us. Again, they become opportunities, but we need to know what we are doing. So, informed by the mandate, informed by the objectives of the fund, informed by our diagnostic assessment that we did as a fund, informed by the threats, the SWOT analysis, we then come up with a strategy for the fund. And for whatever it is worth, we came with a very simple strategy. We just call it fire. You call yourself HIT. I was saying to Professor Kamagame, whom are you hitting here? but it's a HIT. So we came up with our acronym for our strategy, FIRE, which means we need to fix, we need to invigorate, which is reviving, we need to reinforce, which is strengthening, and we need to extract the value from our companies. So when I come to you, Vankala, a tier 1, we are coming with a FIRE acronym strategy. What do we need to fix in you? What do we need to revive in you? How do we strengthen you to get money for the people of Zimbabwe? It's called extraction. We are very clear on that. So whenever we come to you, to anyone, we are here, it is ESA. We are saying, what should we fix? What should we revive? How should we strengthen you? By putting prepaid meters to everyone. Don't be afraid. So that we can get the value, so that our debtors can manage. Not to have people who don't pay the electricity, but they use it. Every day people complain, there was load shedding. Did you pay your money? I'm not about to post-paid meters. So those are going to fix. So that is fixed inside. And we also went further to say, you know what? Now that we have got this FIRE strategy, we also looked at the Boston Consulting Group metrics. As you said, at universities, there is a reservoir of information. You also need to study these things and say, how then do you combine these things? So we looked at the Boston Consulting Group metrics for business, and also looked at our FIRE strategy. The two of them, we combined them and come up with that very simple illustrative diagram, whereby we say we've got stars within the group, with cash cows within the group, we've got question marks within the group, which I've given you already, and we've got dogs within the group. That is the categorization under the Boston Consulting Group metrics. So we use that same metrics to categorize our entities. And we said, who are the question marks? The likes of Telecel, question mark. Silo, question mark. CSC, it was a question mark by the time we started. And who are the dogs? No, so whenever come dogs, but I love dogs, and I used to keep dogs at home. Kumusha, Vimanazo. Nowadays I keep a lot of them for just safety at home. But when I think of dogs, I think of big dogs. These ones you need to feed so that they don't get the musha. So your economic enablers, they are very important. There might be dogs. So they say in English, keep sleeping, dogs lie. No, I don't read the home so. What happens? No, so some of these things don't temper them now too much. So in our dogs category, of the likes of NRZ, your Zupco, your Air Zimbabwe, we need them. We can't kill them. We Can't send them to SPCA. No, we need to keep them. Need to feed them. How do you feed them? This way now the stars and the cash cows come. The question marks in dogs need robust fixing, and the reviving strategies to grow them and unlock value. On the other side, the cash cows, you need to strengthen them to expand their operations and to provide support to those dogs and the question marks. So you get money from this, you leverage the balance sheet, get, say from NOIC, part of it goes to the small dog or to the question mark to silo, so that they become also a good company. So that's why the government of Zimbabwe put in place Mutapa. This, when the companies are being run in silos, you cannot have that 360 degree. Now we have what it, therefore we can leverage and optimize the balance sheet within. That's what we are doing. So on our cash cows, with NOIC, Fidelity Gold Refinery. NOIC has got a monopoly capital called the pipeline from Beira to Harare. And we need to leverage on that. And that pipeline, companies that want to bring fuel, they use the pipeline. They pay about 8 cents per liter. That's why I said what moved in that pipeline last year was 2.7 billion liters. And therefore it's become a cash cow. Fidelity Gold Refinery, they don't mine gold. All the gold comes from somewhere, it goes through refinery. Therefore, they cannot make losses. Therefore, they are our cash cows. POSB, they make money, they are our stars. So it's net 1 and tier 1. Tier 1, net 1, they are affected by legacy debts. You know, we used to have PTC long back. PTC was split into 2, tier 1 and net 1. The loans that were there under PTC are still being assumed by these 2, carrying the burden of PTC, post telecommunications, which was there long back. And therefore those debts are the ones that affect their comprehensive income, the bottom line. Otherwise, they're doing very well. So what is our focus? Our key focus areas as Mutapa, given the SWOT, given the categorization of companies, therefore our areas of focus, when you look at those, is basically, the next slide please, is the governance, financial performance, operational efficiency, sustainability in operations, human resources, strategy development, and the capital growth, which is capitalization. Those are our key focus areas as a fund. And to date, we've done quite a lot. We've strengthened board effectiveness where necessary. It's continuous, it's not an end. We have insisted that there should be timely production of audited financials in line with the corporate, with the statutes of Zimbabwe. We are working on turnaround strategies for all the entities in 3 categories: short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategy for all the entities. We are working on improving performance and in capital sourcing and injection of capital into those companies. We are an active investor and we are an engaged shareholder. We don't want to leave anyone behind. There is nothing too small and too big for us to consider. We are there for our entities. And so far what we have done, is this still coming, the strategy in business? Yeah. What we have done on our strategic initiatives, starting with the mineral cluster, we are restructuring the mining cluster, effective now, to ensure that we are going to, see, if you look at default and Kuvimba, I'll give one example of Jena mine. Default has got 15% of Jena, Kuvimba has got 85% of Jena, but all of them are under Mutapa. So we are now restructuring that mining cluster, so that we come up with 5 companies under the mineral cluster. So we're now going to have Mutapa Gold Resources, Mutapa Base Metals, Mutapa Energy Minerals, Mutapa PGMs, which are platinum group of metals, and the Mutapa Frontiers. So we won't have the Kuvimbas, the defaults. We now call them by what they are. They are our entities. Gold, so that we focus on gold and say, you are the CEO of the gold, of Mutapa Gold Resources. You are the CEO of Mutapa Base Metals. You are the CEO of Mutapa Energy Minerals, your lithium and your nickel. And you are the CEO of Mutapa Platinum Group of Metals. In the frontiers, these are new ventures to come. So when you acquire other minerals, the rare earth, tomorrow you might discover others, basement, other phosphates, they become in the frontier. So we have room for growth. So that's our structure. How far have you gone on this one? The gold, Mutapa Gold Resources is now operational. The Minister of Finance has approved these ones. Government has approved them, and all this has been approved. So that's where we are going. So this, and the board approved these things. And my job, I'm unpaid for talking. The management works, the board approves, then I talk. This is a very simple job. One of our board members is here. Thank you for approving these things. So you see, when you approve, I just talk. I take the thunder away from everyone, and I talk myself. So thank you very much for according me that responsibility of telling the nation, telling this public lecture that this is what we are doing. In terms of ZESA, energy and trading, the next slide, government has approved that we rebundle ZESA. We had unbundled it to have ZPC, ZETDC, ZESA Holdings, the like. But because we want efficiency, we've rebundled and reorganized ZESA. Again, this has been approved by Cabinet, and I think Zimra is now approved the restructuring of this entity again. So we're now going to have a ZESA Private Limited with the 100% ownership of Zent and 100% ownership of PowerTel for the time being. So ZPC, ZATDC, ZESA Holdings, they're all under ZESA Private Limited. So all the rest, they become divisions. So a division of production of electricity, which was done by ZPC, division of the distribution of energy in the city of thereafter. So we are now in the process of informing the creditors, the lenders, and all other stakeholders on this matter. So we have again moved. So at Mutapa we move. We move quite a lot. Because we have got a very competent management, a competent board. So we move. NOIC, we are working with them to increase capacity. The idea here is to increase capacity to 5 billion liters per year, which is about 400 million liters per month. It's happening. It used to 1.8, now it's a capacity to 3 billion, want to move from 3 billion to 5 billion. Because as economic activity increases, more fuel is moving onto the using pipeline, and we also want to minimize the usage of trucks on our roads. At Orex and Fidelity, we are consolidating those entities into one, so that Orex becomes a division of Fidelity Gold Refinery. Because all of them, they are refining, they are value addition. They're adding value on gold, they're adding value on diamonds and gold. So they have become one entity. And they're all under 100% owned by ourselves. Agriculture. Our initiative there in agriculture is to ensure that the fertilizer value chain is realized. So we are capitalizing and refurbishing Adoroa, Zimfos, ZFC, so that at least we can produce the basal fertilizers in this country. Fertilizer is a very important input in agriculture. For food security, we need enough well-priced fertilizer. In the stable chemicals, we are working with the Masawara to ensure that Mutapa becomes the major shareholder through rights issue, so that we also have the fertilizer value chain of the AN top dressing. So when you look at this fertilizer value chain, you've got two types of major fertilizers, the basals and the AN, and of course in between of what your soap, mob, all those things, they are all here. Because we love Zimbabwe, we want Zimbabwe to achieve its food security strategy. We can have rains, they are coming, but if we don't have fertilizers, they are not very good. At IDC, Industrials, we are reorganizing IDC, so that we don't have too many layers of bureaucracy. We've got IDC as a group, Chemblex as a holding company, and all babies under that again. Hey, it's complicated, isn't it? So we suffer from simplicity at the fund. We want to simplify things, so that's what we are doing. Privatization of revitalization of cold storage company. Here we removed the company from joint venture, the bolstered beef. We then worked with the business rescue practitioner, Vamwete. In the company, we removed it from business rescue or administration. It's now 100% under Mutapa. And last week, we started advertising for a turnaround strategist, more like a consultant management, who's going to work with us, give him the facility, the funds to go forward, to understand all the abattoirs that are here in this country, the slaughterhouses, whether it is the Blawayo, Chinoi, Masingo. We need all those to be operational. And CSC, by the way, in terms of sustainability, the life of CSC is longer than that of a life of mine. This is continuous. So when you talk about your ESG, environment, social, and governance, you see it more at CSC. So those farmers who are occupying CSC properties, we're going to convert them to our growers. So they grow for us the beef. Because what we want at CSC is the beef. So we want more beef to come from those farmers. And that is one of the areas that this strategist shall be working on. So we are very clear on our intention. At NRZ, we are rehabilitation of the NRZ. We have again short-term, medium-term, and the long-term plans. In the short term, we have requested, and we are doing that, we've funded NRZ so that they start hiring or leasing locomotives. At NRZ, we need 4 things: locomotives, wagons, to repair the track and signaling, my signals. And that is good work in progress. Working with the CFM, and Botswana Rail and others, we're working on the track, and on our part, we are providing funding to get some locomotives for now, and also refurbishing those wagons that are at NRZ. We've got a very good, competent journeymen, engineers, and people who work very well in these yards at NRZ in Blawayo. So they can fix those ones. Sometimes it was just a bogie that was missing onto the wagon. So they are pushing those. They can do about 60 wagons per month to repair. So they need a bit of capital, which we have given them. They are working on it. And you have seen also on the rail, on the track, there's some of the traction. Those ones are listed locomotives. So they are moving. You might not see it by a human eye, But in terms of freight has moved. We had reached a low of 1.8 million tons per year. We're now going upwards again, which is the best. So our speech is that, and our message is that whatever we are doing, we reach the bottom. We cannot go down in further. We can only go upwards. And upwards is our limit. There is no limit going upwards. At Zupco, we are purchasing buses, procuring buses, and we are also going to long-term plans with some suppliers of kits so that Devin and Willowvale will also produce buses and trucks for Zimbabwe. And this is what we have been doing. At the Air Zimbabwe, we are reviving them, leasing aircrafts so that they can increase the frequency of their flights, both or 3 times locally, which is Zimbabwe, regionally, and go international. So that's our strategy. And the CEO of Air Zimbabwe is there. You testify that this is a good work in progress. He's already using the ATRs from funds that is using for the domestic flights. And we're using our umbrella. Government has given us the authority to sell the 777s, whose money we then use it to put a deposit for new small aircraft for domestic. And we are putting in place a facility to lease, to hire a bigger plane, one of these Boeings, to fly Harare to London, a route, and good work has been put in this place. And I was advised by the chairman of Air Zimbabwe and the CEO that by June of this year, or before June, they wanted earlier. I said, okay, do your earlier, but for purpose of my public lecture, I shall just say by June, we need to fly Harare London route. So at the end of the day, that route is one of the most lucrative routes in Africa, but just go direct from here into UK. Before, we used to export our horticulture in the morning or in the evening. In the morning, it's already in the shelves, in the shops in UK. So this one is coming. And we thank the board and management for this observation of what they're not doing. Then at Telecel, we're reorganizing. Telecel, we put it under, it was put by the board under administration so that we can sort it out. We've got very good plans for it. The plans that God has given us, which are good plans to ensure that it prospers. And this, we are working on it. And on financial services, we are consolidating the insurance businesses as a strategy, and we are capitalizing our banks so that they become a well-run and capitalized bank to provide funding. At the real estate cluster, we are consolidating our assets, because we have too many properties under CSC, NRZ properties, or the AFC properties, IDCA, Sunway, or the Homelink, and new ventures. So we are consolidating them. In the eventually, down the line, we also want to come up with REITs, real estate investment trust. So that one is the destination. We want to unlock value from our real estates. We are also working with some companies that are having difficulties in this country to try to resuscitate them. We are still in a conversation with the Better Bricks, which is under administration. Our argument is that we cannot have a country without its bricks. Most of the bricks in this country, they are being produced by foreigners. It is not sustainable for the country, because one day you might end up importing the bricks. So we are still in a good conversation with the business rescue practitioner who is working on Better Bricks, and the rest of other entities that we are working on. Apart from Telecel, also working with the Africom to see how best we can manage the backbone of communication for the country. So we have a number of things. As I go towards the end, we need to look at Mutapa's contribution in the national economy. When I look at all these things that I'm saying, the sum total of it is that we need to contribute positively to the economy. And the best way to show our contribution to the economy is what is spelled out in the National Development Strategy number 2, blueprint. And the blueprint is very clear. Paragraph 334 of the NDS 2 blueprint, it says that the fund will leverage on its assets to secure funding, support NDS 2 priorities, and the fund targets to raise $1 billion to support NDS programs, not our companies, but over and above our entities for the economy. In order to uplift the livelihood of people in Zimbabwe. It also says on 336 paragraph, in this regard, Mutapa Investment Fund will leverage on its grouped balance sheet, which I spoke about earlier, of over 30 enterprises transferred from line ministries to the fund to raise financial resources for under NDS 2. It says this proceeds from revival of portfolio companies under its ambit realizes dividends as a disposal, bond issuance will be channeled towards foreign exchange reserve accumulation. There's also one other expectation that Mutapa Fund will, during NDS 2, be required to leverage these assets to raise capital to invest and grow investable surpluses under the fund. In other words, to come up with a fund, a stabilization fund for Zimbabwe, which will be used during the times of need and or for future generations. And it also says on 339, improved performance of assets under Mutapa will lead to increased contribution to fiscus, job creation, export growth, service delivery, among others. The fund will under NDS 2 be required to engage both local and foreigners or foreign investors to mobilize and deploy capital to underperforming portfolio companies, thereby reducing fiscal risk and ultimately the need for budget support from our entities. We need to be weaned out from the budget. So in short, from an economic perspective, we are saying the trickle-down effect of MIF fire strategy should come up with this, I don't know whether that is there on the screen. We are saying when Mutapa works very well, we need to improve performance of companies under Mutapa, which will lead to increased contribution to fiscus, job creation, export growth, and self-delivery, which will lead to more resources for the economy, which means for treasury and wider economy, and it leads to infrastructural projects being done, devolution in the economy being done, social services being attended to, and the creation of the sovereign wealth fund for Zimbabwe, so that we leave no one and no place behind in the economy. In conclusion, my conclusion is in 4 parts. That what are the desired outcomes or desired results if we do what we are supposed to do as Mutapa. You are supposed, if to say Mutapa is successfully done its job, will be measured against these 4 items. The first one, we expect Mutapa, if it has performed well, to have improved corporate governance across its portfolio companies. Colleagues, I'll be very honest with you, which I always do every day. The major elephant in the room or in the country is about the corporate governance. when we did our diagnostic assessment, corporate governance becomes critical for us to deal with, which means the relationship between the management and board and shareholder, and entities with accountability, entities with responsibility. This is the major elephant in the room in Zimbabwe, corporate governance. Sometimes we have too many chiefs without Indians, so to say, whereby companies are overmanaged and underlaid. That's a major problem. When companies are overmanaged and underlaid, we've got a problem. It's called corporate governance. We are seeing it every day. We deal with it on a daily basis, and we have no apology to make on that, but that's what we do. That's why when you say we're managing them, we know what it is. Not only under Mutapa, I said in Zimbabwe. I'm very careful about that. The other second one is to improve service delivery of portfolio companies under the fund. We need to improve our service delivery. I keep on talking to the acting CEO of ZESA that one of the key focus areas of service delivery is to ensure that when there's a fault, it's attended to timeously. Because the faults, they generate income for us, which is called salary. So if we look at faults as if they are difficulties, no, I know we are selling a captive, a monopoly product, but you know what? We need to have service delivery at the core of our business because we are delivering to people. That's where we get our money from. Improve financial performance of companies under the fund. We want to say after 5 years from now, that most of our entities, right now about 50% of our entities are profitable. The other 50% is loss-making. We want to say that after about 5 years from now, 75% or 80% of our entities under the fund are profitable, except those ones who are doing social programs where there's no enablers, but they need to break even. We can't do it at all costs. We want to have improved contribution of these companies to Zimbabwe's economic development, wherein we now establish the stabilization fund from those revenues that are coming from the companies, dividends, so that the current and future generations are looked after. So, in short, what we are saying is the formation of Mutapa Investment Fund was the best thing that this country has done. Transforming it from the Sovereign Wealth Fund name to remodel it was very good, in that the companies under the fund should perform to become beacons of good financial management, become beacons of the seed capital for the fund, so that this country, we have plenty of resources, we harness those resources. Zimbabwe is too rich. God has given us the blessings of minerals, He's given us the blessings of people. What you need to do is combine our expertise, the resources, to make money for the country, not only for ourselves, but also for the future generations. Gone are those days when the Zimbabwe can be abused by other investors, when you yourselves are very good investors. When I look at all of you, you are good investors. You are very intelligent people, you've got expertise. Let's put those expertise to good use for developing Zimbabwe, so that we leave no one but everyone going forward, being inclusivity. Once again, I want to thank you for the invitation, and thank you for giving me the time to talk to yourself. Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask you to take a seat on the chair. Another round of applause for Dr. Mangudya. And thank you very much, Dr. Mangudya, for articulating the mandate of the MIF, its strategic objectives, and speaking to those KPIs which speak to the aspirations of Zimbabweans when service delivery, one of them. People want electricity. People want functional and efficient services. So thank you very much. And shedding more light on that fire strategy to fix, to invigorate, to reinforce, and to extract, all for the benefit of Zimbabweans. Now, allow me now, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment in time, to thank our sponsors who have made this event possible. Net1, CABS, FBC Holdings Limited, Willowvale Motor Industries, BDO, POSB, AFC Insurance, Tel1, and AFC Commercial Bank. Please help me appreciate our sponsors. And in case you just joined us, you are in the right place. This is a public lecture on the role of the Mutapa Investment Fund in the economic discourse of Zimbabwe. And another warm welcome to our audience who are joining us online. You are part of the conversation. Now, allow me now, ladies and gentlemen, to invite the head at Zimpapers of Business and Events Hub, who is also experienced in investment analysis and the host of the most listened to business-focused show on radio that is on Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat. Please put your hands together as we welcome Kudzanai Sharara. Kudzi will now join Dr. Mangujika up front here to have a discussion with him as we continue to demystify the Mutapa Investment Fund. And just a reminder that we have roving cameras, so please do put on your best smile, just in case your face is beamed on those gigantic smiles. The world is watching. Tell the person seated to you the world is watching. Awesome. Over to you, Kudzi.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you. I must say that, Doc, I must commend you. You really came prepared. I don't know how many times I had to change my questions. I prepared my questions over the week, but I've changed most of them because he answered most of the questions that I had. But I'm going to start maybe, Dr. Manguja, on a lighter note. Just looking at your career, moving from managing money at the central bank, and now you are investing money. Maybe you can tell us in terms of how has that changed your mindset, moving from managing money to investing money?
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting question. I would say that they are related. Was first and foremost managing the money or managing monetary policy of the country. The people who produce the money are the business. So what has happened that I moved from the policy orientation of managing monetary policy now into the investment, in other words, to the real sector, where we now see how the sector is performing and how the sector should be worked on to improve that money in the economy. So I look at it as complementary. I look at it as feeding each other, because I know the ultimate objective of the fund is to provide stability, to macroeconomic stability, which means and also providing and increasing reserves from the entities that you have talked about. So they are related, different, but related, but because of that relationship, I fit very well in what I'm doing.
Thank you. And as we were preparing for this public lecture, we did a poll on Twitter, and 55% of the respondents, of those that voted, they said they do not understand how Mutapa Investment Fund will benefit Zimbabweans. So if you're going to pitch and persuade Zimbabweans, what would you say to them in terms of how Mutapa Investment Fund is going to benefit them?
55%, I think after today's presentation, I think they've decreased to 35%. I think it's more about perception, on a more serious note. I think about more perception. When I put a slide on the global distribution of sovereign wealth funds throughout the whole world, you find that this is not the first of its kind. It's maybe because we're led to do it as a country that people never understood what is a sovereign wealth fund. But as we have these public lectures, and I want to thank you for organizing this public lecture, this discourse, this indaba, because what it does, it also increases the knowledge, it improves or reduces that perception, the negative that has been there, and the best way for them to benefit is, number one, when they see Air Zimbabwe flying, they know that Mutapa has worked. When they see that ZESA is done very well, but past 40 days, no power, load shedding, they know that Mutapa is working well. In fact, I'm also very happy that, and I want to thank government and the Minister of Tourism for appointing one of our executives to become the CEO of ZTA, Dr. Manya. Congratulations. It shows that you are doing a good job. So we want to see, they said before, what is good should be shown by itself. So when ZESA is not switching off electricity, when Air Zimbabwe is flying, when NRZ is moving, when we have got money to fend for ourselves, it means that Mutapa is working well. So those ones who have got 55%, who are not aware, it's not a challenge. There's also time to catch up, and the time of do it now. So we are happy that things are starting to take on. Thank you.
Thank you. I know you spoke about this earlier on in terms of governance and transparent, but it's one of the questions that keeps popping up in terms of the narrative that is out there. People questioning the numbers, people even questioning to say, are those assets worth 16 billion really? So my question is, how are you ensuring that the fund is transparent and follows global rules to investors, and to ensure and to assure investors and citizens that they can trust the numbers that will be shared by Mutapa? You have released an annual report. What assurance can you give those who still question those numbers?
In terms of corporate governance, the first thing, there is always management, risk management, and quality assurance. That's the way we operate in business. As management, we do operations. Risk management compliance officers, they do the risk management. They provide the secondary wall of defense. Then the third, they are our quality assurance, which is basically your auditors, both internal and external. Now, when you do work, like in the case of Mutapa, this was our inaugural financial statements, which statements, it's not us we're doing valuing ourselves. We employed third parties, whom we employed to accounting firms to do valuations of all these entities, over and above the management of those entities. And the work that was publicized also went through the audit, which is give you quality assurances. Now, if those people who will be questioning the numbers, we can also employ them. Because as a fund, our strategy of operation is that we mainly outsource our consultants or our service providers. So we believe in lean institution and outsource the contractors or service providers. Now, those people who are questioning the numbers, they can also apply to come and become our consultants or to come and become our service providers, since they know better than the people who have, not us, but those other people who have done that work for us. So we have no problem. They can apply, and we'll definitely assist them and give them an assignment and to see whether they'll come with a different value of 3.4 billion to Kuvimba, or come up with a different value of about 5 billion ZESA. and we see whether they're different. If they are still the same, I think they will now need also to be publicly say that we're given the job and we came up with the same conclusion. The problem that people who I was complaining, they never complain, they never come out who they are. Our offices are open for discussion. They feel free. I've got an open door policy. No one is too important or too small to come and ask us. But we like the discourse. When they give us that information, it nourishes our mind as opposed to make us angry. I'm happy with those contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Moving on, earlier on you spoke about strategic initiatives that the fund is taking. And before some of these entities were put under Mutapa, some of them had already announced that they will probably be listing on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange or the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. And I understand NDS2 also speaks about some of these entities listing. Maybe if you can tell us how far you have gone and maybe if that is still the strategy to have some of them listing on our stock markets.
Definitely. We do believe that the best value for any entity can be derived from the stock exchange, whereby the shares are floated and with a fair value of what is easier to value companies when they are listed. And that is to our strategy. And we only go to the stock exchange when the time is ripe and time is well for us to be able to do that. We never removed the appetite of the entities that want to go to the stock exchange. At the very best, we complement what they were doing. If they are going this side, it's on the speed that we are saying that no, it's supposed to go at 10 km per hour, why do we make 20 kilometers per hour? So we never changed those ones. I know those ones which we wanted to do so, and they are still open to do so. And just like if you look at Kotko, the major issue that is there is about governance issues, and we are working on trying to do. It was a stock exchange listed company, still on suspension because of governance issues. So we are still working on them. You can't just go to the stock exchange overnight. You need to fix. So in our fixed strategy, it means that we need to fix those parameters that need to be fixed before just go to the stock exchange. So it's a process.
Thank you. Earlier on, when you were talking about some of the entities that you own, CBZ is one of them where I think you said 17% or thereabouts. They were in Davos recently, and they were, one of the things that the CEO said was that they are looking at becoming a $2 billion bank, and so that they can go into the region. But Mutapa, you own quite a number of financial services companies. Are there any possibilities that you could actually merge them so that we can have that big bank from Zimbabwe that can do what the likes of Eco Banks are doing here, the likes of Stanbic, regional banks that have come into Zimbabwe? And
consolidations, mergers, and acquisitions is a process. For now, we don't have that strategy of merging any of our entities which are in the banking sector. If you look at CBZ, it's a commercial bank. They've got a different market. If you look at AFC, it's Agricultural Finance Corporation. It's concentrated more on agriculture. What we are going to be doing right now is the likes of, to say, where do you place HomeLink, for example? There's a void in this economy of mortgages. This economy does not provide enough mortgages. I think it's underbanked on that area. So when you look at HomeLink, POSB, you now say to yourself, what is the best product that you can give to the people of Zimbabwe in the form of mortgages so that you can have more development taking place in this country? So apart from measures, we are saying, how do we restructure? How do we get better value from the existing companies? And which areas do we consolidate? So we are more not on the merging, but on the consolidation.
Thank you. Very soon I'm going to be opening the floor for questions from the audience. So if my team can also then make sure that we've got roving mics. Dr. Mangujiga, earlier on you spoke about you gave examples of other sovereign wealth funds, like for example the one in Norway. Are there any plans that we could also see Mutapa investing in offshore assets and or the strategies to remain investing in Zimbabwe?
Thank you. The Act allows us to invest outside the country. The principles are that we need to sweat the asset, get money, get dividends, then when you've got surpluses, they then invest. We cannot start by investing offshore before we make the entities under Mutapa okay. In other words, if you get funds from an entity or in Mutapa, when you've got a silo of food, that requires 2 million for them to procure maize, to produce maize meal. You rather use that money to one of your entities. If you look at the Boston metrics that I've given you, those dogs, whether they're small or big, or question marks, they need to be dealt with. When everyone is now satisfied within the group, we now go out and look for, but we can also do simultaneously. If we get a good asset that we do believe that it can produce better results, we can also invest and get the money, harvest, and put it back into the economy. So yes, so the answer is yes. The Act permits that, and we are still in the infancy stage where we are still looking at all these options. Thank you.
My last question, you spoke about dogs, those that you are looking at fixing. Maybe if you can pick one or two and tell us what plans you have for those dogs. Are you going to throw some bones at them or real meat?
We are going to throw real meat for them. If you look at NRZ, we need to fix, first of all, to ensure that there's a CEO, which is in being process of being appointed, so in the CEO. The next thing at NRZ, as I said earlier, we need the locomotives. A locomotive takes about 6 or 8 to 9 months, just like an aircraft. If you put the order today, you get it after about 18 months from today. So you are saying if you want to fly or if you want to move on the freight, on the rail, what do you do now? It means you need to have short-term measures, which means you need to lease or to hire my locomotives for Amawan, or you need to fix the one that are there at Rimbu workshop. So we're doing refurbishment, hiring, so that, because what you want, the objective is to ensure that the freight moves from one place to the other. That we take freight from Manize to Chikwalakwala to Maputo. But there is no link between Manize and Mvuma. Putting a line between Manize and Mvuma won't take a day. So it means that you need to ensure that you go with some trucks that move the load from Manize to Mvuma, Mvuma into the train, and then go to, then we need now what? Locomotives to carry all that, and you now use the line that makes the corridor that is more profitable is the one that goes through Chikwalakwala to Maputo, because you have more wagons that you'll be pulling than go to Beira. Beira you need fewer because of hilly area, and therefore because of derailment. So you've got less wagons. So that is a dog that we are trying to feed, so it can move freight, can move passengers, and therefore it means that we need to make it right. So we are doing that. And are we throwing bonds? No, we are throwing to them good money so that they can find the best value of locomotives and wagons to use to go forward.
Our roads, Doc, are pothole invested, and one of the reasons is that because we have got trucks transporting coal, transporting chrome on our roads. If I'm going to put you on the spot. If you are to promise Zimbabweans, when do you think we would have fixed NRZ?
It's a process. We saw you know, I always like this question. I like the agents that Zimbabweans have got. I am also a Zimbabwean, and I like that agency. But when something has been going down for a long period of time, NRZ used to be at their peak, moving 18 million tons of freight in a year. They'd gone down to about 1 million, 1.2 million. We all saw them going down. We never made the same noise. Now that we are now moving now, right now we are going towards 3.1 this year, which means we reached the rock bottom. So we are now going up, but we won't take it as long as we did to go down. But we are going to take shorter. So within this, that's why we do short term, medium term, long term. Our medium term is 3 years, 3 to 5 years. So in the 3 to 5 years, we expect NRZ to be at least 50% of their capacity, which was there before. And then within the next 10 years, then we are going back to their Rolls Royce. Why are we doing that? Because we do not also want to overborrow and have a white elephant of, okay, overnight, make a NRZ, a Rolls Royce, new 35 locomotives, 40 locomotives, 5,000 wagons. It can be done. But at what cost? We need to have a proof of concept, also proof of business, proof of concept. Where the business now there? And then we then say to truckers, let's now to use the trucks. All these trucks, they also get a business when NRZ is moving, because they now become aggregators of the load into NRZ. So we are saying medium, in the short term, we're hiring, we're repairing, so that we can move. Medium term, purchasing the locomotives, but not as many as we need now for now, maybe 50% of requirements, maybe 10 locomotives within the medium term to make our fleet to become about 20, and as we go towards the other 20 after the other 5 years. It's a journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the floor, Linda.
All right, allow me, Kudzi, to acknowledge our other sponsors as our mics begin to move, who have made this public lecture possible. The Export Credit Guarantee Corporation of Zimbabwe, HomeLink, and Air Zimbabwe. We appreciate your support towards this public lecture. So our mics are roving. Please do kindly stand, introduce yourself, and pose your question. The mics are roving. But maybe just to begin with, Dr. Mangujika, as our mics go to our delegates, concerns have been raised around clarity in distinction of roles between MIF and the parent ministries that the entities fall under. Say, for instance, ZUPCO falls under the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works, and it's Mutapa Investment Fund that gazettes board members, for instance. Is there clarity in the distinction of roles between the MIF and the parent ministries of those entities?
Very good question, insightful one, just like the other ones. This question always comes to us, or to me in particular. Very simple. Maybe because I take things in a very simple manner. I was born very simple, and I die very simple. You know, all of us, we've got one day of birth, and one date of death, all of us. So I always take it very simple. The simple answer to that is that we are very clear ourselves as the Mutapa of our role as managers, as implementers of government policy, as the ones who are in charge with monitoring the entities under Mutapa. The role of line ministers and the ministries is that of policy and regulatory. If tomorrow, for example, the last question that was asked here, if tomorrow we want to reduce the number of trucks on our roads, and now that they use now rail, it requires a statutory instrument, for example, that regulatory. Mutapa does not do statutory instruments. It means I will now go to the line minister and ask him to facilitate that there shall be a statutory instrument to increase the either value or volume of items that need to go through the rail. That becomes the line minister's job. Policy, when they say that we are going to create another, say, pipeline of fuel. That's a proposal, that's government. Again, G2G, government Mozambique and government Zimbabwe. Those are ministers. But when the company is now there, the day-to-day responsibility of managing those companies is vested in Mutapa on their behalf. So it's about a maker-checker principle. From a banking perspective, it's called the segregation of duty. The executive, they make the policies regulatory. The management, ourselves, we manage. This idea of whereby one who makes the policy, manages it, whatever it is, that's what we call governance. When I was saying that in this economy, the major role, the major missing link is governance. And it's like a professor can come here. He can be the vice chancellor. He's also the lecturer. He's also the student. You know, there should be some separation. We are designing the future, to quote him. Colleagues, when you are designing the future, you need to design it well. All these CEOs and the chairpersons of Mutapa, they are accountable to me. It's when they do their balance scorecard, which is called the performance contract, I sign with them. Because we we give them the strategy of where we're going. And I give strategy on behalf of government of Zimbabwe. I'm employed by government. I'm a government employee, appointed by the president. And therefore, there should not be any problem. So to me, I'm very clear. Do I get disappointed about it? No. Do I get concerned? No. I keep on telling them, they're all here. That says you could run it. It was about to check out.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mangujika. We'll take our first question from the floor.
Hello. Yes, thank you, Linda. Dr. Mangujika, I'm observing you. I'm observing the Vice Chancellor of HIT and all protocol observed. My name is Mishek Ugaro. I'm the Vice President of the Zimbabwe Economic Society. Thank you very much for your presentation, Doc, and congratulations on the inaugural publication of your accounts. The last time we met, you were our guest at the Zimbabwe Economic Society, where you were presenting all these things. You happen to be a member anyway of the Zimbabwe Economic Society. Now, I think that the vision and everything else is very good, it's very clear. And I'm happy with the vision that you presented. Where I begin to have a problem is when we went to the mandate, it's no longer talking to a wealth fund. It's now talking to an investment fund, a national investment fund, which is correct because this is an investment fund. As you demonstrated that it was changed. However, this investment fund, I feel, Doc, that has got an albatross on its neck. I think you well demonstrated through the BCG matrix there. Those dogs are really hungry. And they eat those cows in the cash cow. So I think if we look at the accounts that you presented, congratulations, you declared $8 million. That's inaugural. We expected that to grow because you still have a very long way to go. If we take one big corporate in Zimbabwe, Delta for example, how much do they pay to the fiscus? So that is the benchmark that I think the fund can look at. So I am saying, I think that the fund has got a big albatross. And to just mirror Linda's question, maybe I ask it in a different way. Does Mutapa appoint the boards of these dogs? Or they're appointed under PECOG? So I think that is what she was trying to demonstrate. Otherwise, I think that going forward, thank you very much, and I'm urging you to do more of these rounds, but not to our levels here. To Chayamiti in Mutambara, where I come from, because that's where my grandmother keeps asking me, "Munongoti Mutapa, Mutapa, tichaone kuno kuchichabva kumutapa."
Thank you, Doc.
All right.
Yes, so
Thank
I
you,
think
thank you, Dr. Ugaro.
overally, I'm urging you to reach out more.
Thank you very much. I will ask our next speakers who are posing their questions, to be precise and straight to the point in the interest of time. And please do ride on the protocol already established. And you can see the numbers in here. Let's be fair to the other speakers. Thank you. And please speak up.
Good morning. My name is Golden Swanda, Zimpapers Business Hub News Editor. I've got a few questions for you, Doc. Indulge me if I ask about things that you've already made reference to, but I'll still proceed and ask these questions. You earlier on when you were presenting, you spoke about the need to simplify things in terms of the structure to be able to run companies under the Mutapa portfolio efficiently and improve their performance. But when you're talking about dogs and stars and question and other entities where you have question marks, including Telecel, I see the need for something like merging some of the companies. For instance, you've got Telecel that is not performing well, and then you've got Net1 that also faces a few challenges here and there. Is there no need to streamline and merge those companies like you've indicated that you would do with ZESA? My other question is on you are making reference to your first statement of financial accounts and audited report, annual report and the first set of audited accounts that you published not so long ago. You indicated in that report that you intend to raise 10 billion. Where is this fund expected to be raised from, and what sort of time frame are you looking at in terms of raising those resources? The other question is, I think you've made reference to it when you were speaking about the role of ministries being to develop policy, and your role being to manage entities under Mutapa. But we still hear about possible challenges like interference and resistance from ministries. How far have you gone in terms of addressing these challenges? Because I see, if those things happen or continue to happen, they actually may affect your, success in turning around those companies. And then you also spoke about fixing in.
Sorry, Golden. We'll allow you to ask the ones that you have already asked so that we can give others a chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
And those who are going to be asking questions, please, let's stick to one question. There are 300 of us in here, so we want to give everyone a chance. So let's just stick to one question, straight to the point, and allow Dr. Manguja to answer. You can maybe proceed to answer those ones, Doc.
Thank you very much for those, from those two, from Gordon and our Vice President of Zimbabwe Economic Society, where I'm a member of, we are the pioneers of that society. So I'm happy that you are also here. The question that you've asked about board appointments, all the boards of the entities under Mutapa are appointed by the fund. Because the whole idea is that the boards are supposed to represent Mutapa so that they push our strategy as Mutapa. So we appoint them so that they can push our agenda and push our strategy. That's why it is very simple for us to succeed. So we appoint the boards, the chairpersons and all the boards. They are accountable to the shareholder. We are the shareholder representative. These companies are owned by government, which government is vested its interests in Mutapa to run the companies on its behalf. So we appoint the boards, which boards then appoint the management. And we have the right of refusal when they appoint senior management that we don't believe that they can run the institutions that they're running. So that is how, so that one is very correct. And we are for that, it's there by mandate, and therefore the vision that we have got is therefore actualized from that perspective of good corporate governance. And reaching out, I agree with you, we need more of this discourse, more of us having these conversations. They help the country to move forward so that we don't leave other people behind, including those ones where you come from, Wachaemiti. We shall also talk to them about why Mutapa exists and what Mutapa should tapering, so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to know how to go forward. So thank you for the question. And thank you also for the albatross that you have spoken about, which will be removed by this corporate governance structure. And I believe that it's possible to be done. Where there's a will, there's a way, and the will is there, definitely from the principals whom I do serve, the principals, the fact that they put this animal, this entity in place, it means that they also want to go forward. Thank you for that. Gordon, with your three-legged questions, we agree with you. We are working at Telecel. As I said earlier, when you look at the telecommunication, you are saying how best can we have the best in class type of entity. But what you can never do, and what we think we want to do ourselves as an entity, Mutapa, we cannot we cannot combine operations with a weaker brother. So our strategy is to fix first. So we fix what is with Telecel. After fixing it, we now say what is best fit, as opposed to just to throw money into the drain. You need to say, if a Net One and Telecel, if there's something similar, but first of all, we need to fix, as opposed to bring a difficult entity to the books or the board of Net One, for example, which you have given. So we believe in fixing first before we extract value or before we restructure. So we are fixing. You know that at Telecel, there is also 40% that is owned by the empowerment group. We own 60%. So you cannot just take that come and then put it in it 100% owned by government. What are you saying on that 40%? Are they also going to have 40% of now the bigger group or not? So we need to fix. So there are too many things to be fixed. So we fixed to go forward. So you're on the right track, but the timing is not now. The other issue about raising of funds. No, I always say this every day. Raising funds is never difficult. At least for me, I can speak on my behalf. I never had a problem in raising funds for this country. The challenge is about how the money is used in this country. Not about raising money. We need to put a dichotomy between raising money and utilizing money. If we look at Zimbabwe currently, we owe a number of people. I'll give you an example of one of our entities, ZESA. They are here. We owe the China Exim Bank in Sino Hydro a lot of money. Why do you owe them? They gave us a contract to develop Wange 7 and 8, where we are producing 300 megawatts per plant, making 600 megawatts. In fact, they are doing more from a 600 plant. But we owe the money. The electricity produced? Yes, it was produced. Plenty of billions of kilowatts per hour. Do we owe the money? Yes. Why? We didn't pay. We did not pay as Zimbabweans. So it's not about raising money. It's about paying our commitments. We need to have a culture whereby we borrow money, whether you're going to a bank or to any person, even your uncle. If we say you are borrowing, so right now, a team of people went to China to negotiate, to restructure these loans. But what happened to the money? Postpaid meters. So that's why I'm saying to ZESA, let's just go for prepaid meters. Whether you like them or don't like them, You need to pay. So zvemahara ndozvinouraya nyika. Wanza Gordon, zvemahara zvinouraya nyika. Saka imoti magetsi mwatora shuwa vhuku hwange pakaya maChina kuti magetsi acho under a contract which is between Hexco and ZPC. Look at their accounts. Then tomorrow I know ZESA is going to being well managed. Why didn't you pay my magetsi? I see resistance from other people, quarters. I know we don't want prepaid meters. I see your vehicle, you've never used it to go to Mtambara or Timachimaniman. Usna fuel. You go pachi, per forecourt, per service station to get the fuel before you go to your journey to Bulawayo. 7 magetsi. Before Washandisa, Badara, prepaid. Then it's no so it's not about raising money. So we can raise 10 billion today. We can raise the money that we want for this country. Right now we have got a Jindao, we've got another EPC contractor under the ROT, repair, operate and transfer, Jindao of India, to increase the electricity supply at Wange 1 to 6. That's about 450 million. The money is going to come from people who be consuming electricity. If we don't pay again, it's going to be dead on arrival. So again, we need prepaid meters and smart meters. So I'm just trying to give you, Gordon, is that it's not about raising money. Zimbabweans, we talk about raising money. I talk about money should be paid, how it is utilized. If you come with a business concept, if you are doing chicken fowl runs, if you go and get money from your bank, whether CBZ or wherever, if you say you are going to take 10,000 beds from Ivins and slaughter for 6 weeks, you should go and pay that money to bank. That is the spirit that we have got in this country. I pray for you guys every day, the whole country.
Thank you.
Then the last one, interference from line ministries. I read about these things. I hear about them, even here I'm hearing it. Am I seeing it? I don't see it. No one, no permanent secretary, no line minister has ever come to me and tell me that I wanted this come and beg, or that I'm going to interfere with you. But I hear it in many forums like this. Maybe you guys, you hear more. So since you hear more than myself, tell me that this is the minister with a problem. Then I can go and have a tea with him. Then I tell him that you are executive, I'm a subsidiary of the executive. I'm not a cabinet minister. I'm just an extension, a subsidiary. The executive is the president, is the chairman of cabinet, is the vice president, the ministers. They meet every Tuesday as a cabinet. No executive. So we are on subsidiaries of the executive. Don't worry about my cabinet ministers. That's where we are going. In order to formulate the strategy to conform to the policy where the government is going. So I'm very clear. So if there are permanent secretaries or chief directors or ministers who are still who is still not very sure, we can have conversation like now. This is a good conversation. Maybe they are afraid of telling me that they don't like us, but maybe I love them quite a lot. So I always show love to them, even those who don't love me, like God. Jesus, why I died? So as possible. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for demystifying the myths and perceptions. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Manguja, for the wonderful presentation. It was so elaborate and we learned a lot, but just a question here pertaining to how Mutapa distinguish between assets.
Sir, could you please hold your mic closer to your mouth and please speak a little bit louder? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. How does Mutapa distinguish between assets that should be run for commercial purposes or for commercial return versus those that should prioritize strategic or social value and how perhaps is this trade-off reflected maybe in performance matrix? Maybe as you analyze your performance, how is it reflected?
If you can repeat, Mr. Nkomo, and if you can speak a little bit louder.
Okay, thank you. How does Mutapa distinguish between assets that should be run for commercial return versus those that should prioritize strategic or social value? And maybe in your analysis, how is this trade-off between commercial return and social value reflected perhaps in performance metrics?
Do you have any other question? Can you have the mic to the gentleman that side?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nyanguja. You have actually highlighted that there is a problem with the Zimbabweans as far as paying debts is concerned. And my name is Proud Tanagajera, and I'm a student here, a master's student here, and I'm actually working on a research where we can actually put frameworks so that debtors pay what is due to their lenders as far as national projects are concerned. Then my question for the day is that the Vision 2020-30, it says that we need to move from state-owned enterprises to private-owned enterprises. So you as a fund in the 60 plus entities that are under your management, is there a chance for them to then privatize? Because when they privatize, we know that there is efficiency, and when there is efficiency, we know that the nation can also move better. Then the other question is that the reports that you published in 2024 it brought out a gross portfolio value of 16 billion, and on that one it actually encompasses everything, but it's not giving a line to line whereby you can actually say that this entity is worth this much and this entity is worth this much. So my question is, for your 2025 publications, will you be able to actually do that? Then
Thank you for the questions. Linda, there is Owen this side on the table there.
Thank you for the opportunity to ask Dr. Manguja. I'm Nkosana Gwatwaira from Rusunungu Konkululeko Holdings. I want to ask, how inclusive of old capital is Mutapa Investment Fund? I ask so, looking at the demographic makeup of your audience here, I don't seem to see old capital being represented. Thank you.
Thank you. It's just
Good morning,
We,
everyone.
we'll allow Dr. Mangujiga to respond to these questions before we come back.
Okay, maybe the last gentleman, if you can repeat your question.
Thank you for the second chance. My question is, how inclusive is Mutapa Investment Fund of old capital? I ask so, looking at the demographic makeup of your audience, I don't seem to see old capital being represented here. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Let me start on the trade-off, or what is commercial and social. Yeah, we at Mutapa, we are very clear that not all enterprises should be commercially pushed. Otherwise, they provide also social value to the society. Where there's providing social values, we need to have efficiency in providing those social products or social services. But if you look at most of the companies under Mutapa, their qualification to go onto the list under Mutapa was commercial. They are called commercial entities of government which are supposed to be under Mutapa. The social ones are not there. But if you are talking about the provision of reasonable pricing like Zupco, that they need to provide a reasonable price, it cannot be called a social service. It needs to be done inefficiently, whereby you break even. So we don't expect super profits for those commercial for those social value transactions. If you are talking about NRZ providing transport, they need to provide transport for passengers which is reasonable but fair enough for them to be able to pay back the cost of fuel and the cost of running the business. So the difference will come in terms of pricing, not in terms of the trajectory, whereby we need to make them to be at least break even. So we have what economic enablers whom we are talking about, but the others which are very commercial. So the distinction to us is very clear, and the dichotomy is there, whereby we don't expect, like now, one thing that I was going to talk to Vamushanawani, people always tell me that our bundles are more expensive than those ones of Econet. Then I said, okay, I shall talk to Net One so that it is become more reasonable, because our idea I will only grow. Whilst you are very high, others are a bit low. But again, that is a discussion between ourselves. I'm giving it as an example. So we are conscious about social values, commercial transactions, and that we should not lose our mind, knowing that this is a social. That's why we believe in ESG, your environment, your social, and governance. But there are other areas where we need to provide those services, not because of money, but because they need to be done as an enabler in the economy. So you are very right, and our team, they are also here, and they know about it, and therefore we continue doing so. The other question is on the buying, I think, Gomo, I think so, or no, but my other colleagues there, to a privatization. Privatization, it's one part of our ingredients in our deliberations. What I can tell you is that it's more of a myth that if you privatize a company, you get more value out of it. I don't believe that is the truth, but it's about the management of the company. If we look at Kotko, it was once privatized. Yagun's ICO. Government took it back when things don't move well there. So it's a myth. If you look at China, the biggest companies that are in China are state-owned enterprises. In fact, 50% of throughout the whole world, the world GDP of the world is accounted for by 50%, which are public enterprises. If you go and check, public enterprises, I think there are about 500 in the world, top 500. You find that those the 500 companies, they account, not the entire world, but I'm saying that the 500 public enterprises in the world, the big ones, they account for 50% of the GDP of the world. So it's about management. It's not about ownership. And if you don't run your business well at home, don't believe that if you become a private, then you become more money. So what I'm saying is we need a combination. We achieve that combination by also providing some of the shares or some of joint ventures with the old capital. And that's what's happening. And so it's a myth to me. It's not necessarily correct. But we are moving towards a time when we sell those ones which don't perform. We can sell, as was said in the NDS 2, that if you aren't performing, you can be sold. But we can only sell after making a fair assessment that here we failed to run this company, or that this company is incorrigible and therefore can be lost to the market. So we believe in inclusivity. You are talking about inclusivity, that you don't see all the capital. For this public lecture, I think all the capital, they know exactly who is Mutapa Investment Fund is. They know. In fact, all the capital, to give you solace, they know Mutapa very well. They are the ones that come to offices looking for transactions that, which combines with this privatization. They are coming every day. That's not. They see opportunities in us. So they don't come here. But they know that here they don't make deals. Here they listen. But they know exactly who Mutapa is. So you never see all the capital coming here. You can't see Zed coming here. You can't see Simon Radrin coming here. You don't see this PKE or someone coming here. But they know exactly, but you know what? If you go right now, they know that what they want from Mutapa is this and that. Some of them, they're talking about the independent power producers, whereby they say, you know what, I want to do my solar, and I want to produce 300 megawatts. Can I have a IPP? Can I have a power purchase agreement with ZESA? They're all thinking of how to make money. So be comfortable that all the capital, they know Mutapa, and they're the ones that are trying to use Mutapa to their benefit of making more money, which takes to my other colleagues who are some of privatization. The private sector, they know exactly who Mutapa is. But it's us who sometimes make who aren't very knowledgeable about Mutapa, who believe that these people they don't know. I can tell you, if I had time and if I had authority from the companies, I'll tell you that this old capital, this and that and that and that. I gave example of Better Bricks, which yourself are aware of. That old capital. That old capital, we want to make it a new capital. But you work with them. And those claims that you have got, we are going to come to you and ask for those claims so we can make bricks. That's all the capital. Yanama number. So I've got all the geography and the knowledge. And that's why I said, because of, I was told again, I quote what the professor said here, that intellectual property right, we need to ensure that we don't abuse it also. But you know, we are here to design the future. So thank you very much.
Indeed. A round of applause for Dr. Mangujga for finding the time to elaborate and speak into the issues that have been raised. Another round of applause, please, as Dr. Mangujga takes his seat. Thank you very much, sir. Allow me now, at this moment in time, to invite to give us some closing remarks the CEO of Net1, Mr. Raphael Mushanawani. Yes, you can continue to appreciate both gentlemen, Dr. Mangujga as he sits, and Mr. Mushanawani as he makes his way up front.
Thank you so much, the events director, the convener represented here by the Zimpapers CEO, Mr. William Chikoto, our host, the Harare Institute of Technology, Professor Engineer Kanukamwe, corporate champions here present, the academia, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. The Zimpapers public lecture series has reaffirmed a core truth of modern governance, that accountability, transparency, excellency commitment, integrity, and sustainability are the operating system of our Zimbabwe, which is seeking durable prosperity, secure and investing into the future of Zimbabwe. Today's lecture has re-emphasized the tenets of our national wealth creation, preservation, and investment. This is what was at the center of the declaration, Zimbabwe is open for business and nyika inowakwa nevene vayo, when the new dispensation was conceived in 2017. At the core of this investment culture transformation, today's keynote speaker, Dr. John Panonetsa Mangunjika, continued to serve as a governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe from 2014 until March 2024, before assuming his present role as the CEO of Mutapa Investment Fund. Through the direct pursuit of the vision of His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, a legacy of making Zimbabwe a foreign direct investment magnet nation was being curated. Earlier this week, Zimstat published the January 2026 inflation figure, confirming that annual inflation on ZIG index has declined to 4.1%, down from 15% in December 2025, our first single-digit print since 1997. Also, seasonal focus show encouraging rain prospects across much of the country between December and February, improving prospects of a better yield and national food security. For us as Net1, Zimbabwe's second largest mobile operator with more than 4.1 million subscribers, this translates into rising demand for our products, data, voice, and digital financial tools. As Net1, we are implementing practical digital inclusion projects across the country, such as ICT labs in rural schools, community ICT hubs, and the expansion of our 4G and 5G network coverage in all areas, including underserved districts. Through the digitalized Zimbabwe Roving ICT Expo, Net1 finds itself helping deliver coding programs, DigiTrucks, Wi-Fi zones, and digital literacy initiatives. These initiatives ensure that no Zimbabwean is left behind in the digital economy. Dr. Mangunjika said, the inflation milestone published this week underscores the pace of financial reform and elevates expectations on every entity under Mutapa. State-owned enterprises must demonstrate ethical leadership, operational discipline, and customer-focused service delivery. Our performance contracts demand transparency, efficiency, but the greatest performance contract remains one's conscience. That inner accountability is what will anchor the opportunity-rich Zimbabwe we seek. With this, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mchanawani, for giving us those closing remarks. Allow me now to invite to give us a vote of thanks, the Zimpapers Group Editorial Executive, Mr. Elias Mambo. Please put your hands together as he comes forward. Wombereo bosi vangu vachiuya zvindifambiro kumabasa.
Thank you, Linda. You are getting your promotion soon. A very good afternoon. Yeah, I have got just two major takeaways, Dr. Mangunjika. Number one, you are looking for CEOs. I've already sent my CV in your phone. Number two, Zimbabwe will be great again. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Zimpapers, as we conclude this enlightening public lecture, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Mangudya for his insightful exploration of the Mutapa Investment Fund. Your expertise, Doc, and depth of knowledge have provided us with a clearer understanding of the fund's potential to drive economic growth and development in our country. Thank you, Doc. As Zimpapers, we are saying Harare is not Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe is not Harare. So together with our partners, we want to take you countrywide so that other regions, other provinces can have this information. So in the forthcoming months, we'll be knocking again. We want to take you to Bulawayo, we want to take you to Mashingo, we want to take you to Mutare. So be ready to accept our invitation. I would also like to take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation to our hosts, Harare Institute of Technology. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to our partners, you made this event a success, and we hope we will move together. And to Zimpapers, thank you, team. This is the beginning of greater things to come. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mambose. I will now ask our events coordinator, Madam Fatima Bulamsakwa, to please hand over our token of appreciation to Zimpapers Group CEO, Mr. William Chikoto, to forward it to our guest of honor, Dr. John Mangudya. Thank you very much. With lots of love and appreciation from the Zimpapers family. Thank you very much, sir. All right, and this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the end of our inaugural public lecture as Zimpapers, and as my boss has rightfully said, there will be more of it. Allow me this moment kuti ndifadze vatengi vatitendera kuti tinge tiri pano zuva ranhasi, our valued sponsors who have made this event possible. Allow me to begin with the Portras, Masimba Holdings, POSB, Homelink, Petrotrade, the Export Credit Guarantee Corporation of Zimbabwe, Air Zimbabwe, AFC Commercial Bank, Tel1, AFC Insurance, Willowville Motor Industries, BDO, FBC Holdings Limited, Net1, Cabs. And please, another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our sponsors. We appreciate your valued support. And of course, this is it. And I'm sure through that presentation and the Q&A, all the responses were answered. And during the networking session, you can ask some more questions. Dr. Mangudya made a lot of biblical references. You may want to know that he's a devout member of the United Methodist Church in Evanofeka. He's a product of Manica land, where I hail from, but serving this great nation of Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming through, and to our online audiences. I am Linda Muriro. It has been a pleasure steering today's program. We will allow our high table with our guest of honor to exit the room first. DJ, amuna chimbo chela vuere.